on the Woodland Park Underground. I am glad you're joining us today. We are at base camp. Thanks for hosting a space camp tonight. And I'm here with Don Dezellem. Dezellem, who's running for city council here in 2020. The elections are April 20th. And I'm just gonna get to know him a little better, find out why he's running. You'll get to hear a little bit from him, and it just gives us an open forum to get to know you guys better. And so we've invited a lot of the city council candidates and the mayor candidates on. So hopefully we'll get some more that'll take us up on it. So Don, now it's just me and you, and a couple of people are watching. So
all right.
Talk to me about who you are, where you're from, how long you've been in Woodland Park.
All right. Well, I was born in Syracuse, New York. My dad worked for a government contractor, worked for General Electric. So we moved around a lot following the military bases because he was in the space program, basically. He was in missile guidance. So spent some time in Biloxi, some time up in Cheyenne before ending up in California at Vandenberg for about, well, we moved there in like about 61, 62, and I left there in about 89, 90 to move out here to Colorado. So most of my years were spent in California growing up. My educational background is I'm a high school graduate. I have an associate's degree in liberal arts from Allen Hancock College in California. And I got up to my senior year at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo with a studying recreation administration. So I had a lot of natural resource management classes, government classes, some business law, that type of stuff during that time. Found out that I could make more money working at my job than I would have with my degree and 5 years of experience. And about that time, had a child on the way. So school went to the side and I went to work full-time in management with a McDonald's franchisee in California. Worked there for almost 30 years before I moved out here to Colorado to manage the local McDonald's.
That was here in Woodland Park?
Uh-huh.
What year, when was that?
That was about 90, 89, 90.
Oh, wow. What was Woodland Park like back? We'll get back. We'll get into more. What was Woodland Park like back in the 90s when McDonald's was here?
It was a small town. There wasn't really much. We had City Market, Ben Franklin, McDonald's and Wendy's. Pizza Hut were the big chains at the time that were in here. Sonic had just left and Cruisers had taken its place.
Wow. It was just
my house that I bought, the street was unpaved. And for the first year I had it until the city paved it. It was a nice small town. I knew just about everybody in town as far as I knew like all the pastors, knew all of the knew the entire police department from the chief on down, knew the mayor. So it was a town where you knew who people were, and people did a lot of things civically and knew who the people were who could get things done. I did a lot with the school district as far as like senior ditch day, the authorized senior ditch day every year.
Authorized senior ditch day. Nice.
Yeah. The school district and the police department helped put it on. They'd have a barbecue in the park for the kids, that type of stuff. Did a lot with their athletics department as far as, donations, helping out, that type of stuff. I was also a member of the Rotary Club up here and was the co-chairman for their scholarship committee for many years. Was also Rotarian of the Year one year.
Nice. And so you get up here, you're working at you're managing the McDonald's, and that's 90s. You kind of go through a couple of years, you're here, and then you go away for a little bit and you come back.
Yeah. Let's see. Must have been just around 2005 or 6 or so.
Okay.
I ended up getting divorced, sold my house up here, and had taken a job with a storage company down in this. Well, actually, I was working for 7-Eleven still at that time. I was part of the group that closed up the 7-Eleven up here when it closed.
Okay.
And then I went down to the Springs, and since I sold the house and I was managing a store in the Springs, I got moved down to the Springs. But I still kept my ties to Woodland Park by going to church up here, and that's something I've done ever since I started going to that church.
You go to
Dayspring Christian Fellowship.
Gotcha. That's out off Rampart, right?
Yeah, it's on Rampart. It's the first of the 3 churches.
It's the first of the 3.
Yeah, that you come to. And I'm one of the deacons there.
Okay.
But even when later on, after I left 7-Eleven, when 7-Eleven franchised out all the company stores in the Springs. So I lost my job with them and went to work for a storage company, which provided housing. So in order to move up in that company, I had to take a 9-month stint up in Thornton.
Okay. Gotcha.
But even when I was working up in Thornton, I drove down on Sunday mornings for church.
Gotcha. So you stayed connected here with the people.
I stayed connected here, kept up with as best I could with the news about Woodland Park, that kind of thing. Transferred back to the Springs with the storage company and worked down there for many years until I decided it was time for a career change.
Okay.
And went to work for Walmart up here. As I started off as an electronics associate there, selling electronics, and worked my way up now to where I'm a department manager over their online grocery and online internet sales.
That's an exploding market.
Oh, it is. It's one it's growing expeditionally. I mean, a lot of the stores in the Springs have seen their grocery pickups double in like the first year that they've had it. So
is that good up here, or what about up here?
Well, it's a good thing for up here. I don't see us growing quite as explosively as the spring stores have.
Okay.
Just because of the base we have.
Yep. People want, if they're gonna order online, they're doing it. But if they're not, they're gonna come into the store. Right. They want to be in the store, see whatever.
Right. Plus, we don't have that population that
just to draw numbers for. So yeah, it's either they're gonna do it and they've already started, or that it's gonna
or they'll use it occasionally or something. Gotcha.
So I know we've used it, and you go to those things and boom, it's there.
Oh yeah, and with the grocery stuff, we just bring an eye out to your car for you and load it.
Nice.
I mean, so it's good for people that don't enjoy shopping or have a hard time shopping because of whatever reason, kids, disabilities, whatever.
Gotcha.
So
that's cool. So you're working at the Walmart, which is also getting you to see a lot of people because.
Oh yeah, I got to see a lot.
I mean,
rekindle relationships with people that, I hadn't been able to for, 8 years because I wasn't really living up here.
Gotcha.
And about 2.5 years ago, the opportunity came up where I was able to get housing up here.
Okay.
So I moved back up because in reality, this is where I was doing everything.
This is where you wanted to be.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. So now we're here. It's 2020. They say, boom, you want to run for city council? What makes you throw your hat in the what makes you get your name on the ballot? First of all, you don't throw your hat in there. You got to go get a bunch of signatures, go through some work.
Jump through some hoops, don't you?
Through some hoops, talk to some folks. And so why run for city council?
I just felt that it was time for some changes in the city. And not, like big changes, but just in a change in the tone of the city council. In the past, I mean, when I first moved up here, we had people that had been involved in the city council or the city government for many, many years.
Okay.
And it was just kind of a continuing cycle. You would see the same people running for positions. And being a person who has no vested interest in land development, or anything like that in the town, I felt that I'd be a good person to come in and help represent the citizens. I'm just a normal person, and I want to see what's best for the people of the city. This year with the comprehensive plan being redone, people have a chance to participate in that, which I really encourage people to do that. Because people, they look at their government and they go, well, they did that again, or they did this, or why did they do that? And a lot of that thought is from people not knowing really how the process works. 2 years ago, I started going to city council meetings because I wanted to see how the process worked.
Gotcha.
I wanted to see what was going on. And
what was your impressions like when you walk into the city council, and you're just there, like this is our city government. I started going to city council meetings probably 6, maybe 8 years ago, and just kind of watched and just observed. So kind of what was your takeaway, and what did you see? What have you seen over these last couple of years? Because just 2 years ago we had elections, so that was right after the elections came in, after the election cycle, and then there was kind of a face change up there. There was
and I actually, that was the first city election I was able to vote in.
Okay.
In many years, so, and it was good to see some changing. Be it either from election or a draw the cards.
The draw of the cards was very interesting to me. It was, for those of you that are joining in live or on the podcast, we had 2 city council members tie. So 800, it was like 800 and some votes, and they tied, or maybe it was more than 800 votes, but it was right around there. They tied right around there, and they drew cards. And you realize, like, what that told me was, well, every vote counts.
Yep.
So register to vote, get out there and vote. Every vote counts. You can have kind of a voice, and don't leave it up to a card draw.
Yeah.
Right. So it could be your one vote that makes the difference in one person being elected, the other person being elected, or drawing cards for council seats. I mean, we've hat drawn for mayor seats before, so this wasn't new, and it's in the bylaws this way, and it works that way. So, but it was still fun to watch.
It was kind of interesting because you hear about those type of things, but you never think it would happen
right in front of you. Yeah, definitely. And so, so getting into this election stuff and the comprehensive plan, people have a lot of questions on, what would you look at? What would your ideal Woodland Park look like in 10, 20 years?
I would really like to see the town remain kind of the quaint little mountain town that it wants to be. And in order to do that, we have to take a look at some things as far as growth, our land uses and planning regulations. We kind of got blindsided a little bit with the Timmreck Project. And you know, the man owns the land. He has the legal use to that land, and he found the loopholes. Now, granted, some of those loopholes maybe weren't as loopy as he thought they were, and maybe sometimes, or maybe the planning department didn't really use and apply the rules the way they should have, but it went through the process that's in the city charter, which we have to go by. That's basically the constitution that the city runs by. And it went through the planning commission, it went through the city council, it went through the board of adjustment. So it followed the process. But it pointed out where we need to look at our land use rules and our planning codes, and we need to strengthen them. We need to review them and bring them up to where they need to be to prevent things like that from happening. But in the process of getting to that point, there was a lot of friction and such in the city between the citizens and the government. Some of it was citizens pointing out the errors in the government. Part of it was citizens not understanding how the process works. So
there were some issues that kind of showed themselves that kind of
both sides.
That kind of woke you up to saying. So you're kind of looking at these things like the Timmreck Project. You're speaking of the tiny home village, the tiny home,
right?
Whatever, the park, the tiny home park, yeah. And you're saying that there are some things that happened in that particular issue that kind of you want to look at and go, is this? We don't want to see other issues. We don't want to see other things happen like that.
Correct. It pointed out a need to go through and look at those codes and stuff.
And looking at that stuff is what when you look at that, you're saying this is the things we need to look at when we're looking at the future of Woodland.
Yeah, because it'll help guide us and get us to where we want to go, hopefully without having the dissension and such that it caused.
Have you talked to people that are involved in or that on for or against that project?
I listened to some. I've talked to some. There's pros, there's cons. Personally, I really don't feel it's a good fit for the city as the project was presented. And I don't think it's a good fit for our citizens either, as it was as his business plan is projected. And basically, that's all I'm really going to say about that.
Yeah.
Because there was a thing on Nextdoor about wanting the people running for council, to express our opinion about the developer.
Okay.
And that really shouldn't count on how we're running for council.
Gotcha.
Because there's nothing we can do about one person, really. The job of the council is to govern the city using the city charter. And the city charter isn't designed to sit there and control a person. So
what are some things that you see about Woodland Park kind of moving forward what's good? What do you love about what's happening now, either in the city or that you would like to expand on in the future?
There are some things that are going really good in the city. We have a recreation department that is looking for things to enrich the citizens' life here. They're offering good programs. They're very active with the parks, and They helped get the dog park in over at Meadowwood. They're working with the hockey association, with maybe getting a covering over the arena so that it's covered and such. So there's things for the citizens there, and yeah, there are some negatives with it too. We do have an aquatic center that right now is kind of a money pit.
What do you think we can do as a council to maybe curve that money pit? What would be if we were sitting around, and I know what I love about this is everybody wants you to talk about, are you going to fix this? Are you going to fix that? What are you going to do about the Timmreck? What are you going to do about the aquatic center? What are you going to do about the bypass? I was talking to Noel about this, and it's these things, and it's like, and when people ask me, I have all kinds of answers that I can tell them and whatever. But the truth is, well, I'm going to sit down with a bunch of other people that you elect, and we're going to try to come up with the best solutions.
That's right. We're going to discuss it and come up with a solution that.
But you've thought about this. But you've thought about this project, and have you thought, I would suggest this or I would suggest that. Have you thought about that kind of stuff?
The biggest thing is that we can't start doing early payments or paying off the interest on the aquatic center for another 5 years. So in the meantime, we need to be setting aside as much money as we can so that when we hit that 5-year point, we can pay off as much as that interest as we can to bring it down. How do you do that, though, at the same time that, people are looking at how can we reduce taxes? How can we do this? How can we do that? And right now, there may not be a way to reduce the city mill levy until we get to that point. The budget for 2020 is already set. So the new council will be affecting the 2021 budget. That one is going to have to go in my opinion, and be as lean as we can make it.
Where do you think the city could? I mean, I don't know how much you've studied the budget, or how much you in that areas, but when we talk about leaning out the budget, at the same time, we've got areas where we do have to spend money.
You have to allocate the money for the things that you need and that are coming up. Obviously we have to pave roads, and there's a plan for that. Roads are on a schedule for repavement.
Yeah. They're actually looking to skip some scheduling around, from what I understand, so that they can put in those turn lanes for
67.
67. So, if you live on Rampart, you're gonna have to wait till 67's got turning lanes for repavement. So yeah, but overall, I think the city does a great job with the infrastructure of the roads and the plowing and the water. And
I see not a whole lot of problems with.
I see some employment issues there because we've gone through some public works directors.
Yeah. Well, and we've done that in just about every department.
Yep.
One area where we might be able to save money is, it's the old thing, you got to spend some money to make money.
Yep.
Is making sure that the city employees are being fairly paid.
Yep.
And what I mean by fairly is up to at least the standards of most communities our size. Because turnover will burn you every time. When you onboard an employee, you're talking a couple $1,000 for a city employee. And when you turn around and lose them a year and a half, 2 years later,
it sucks. It's just money just rolling in and out.
So you've got to control that. You got to control the turnover. so that you're not spending money unnecessarily by having to go through the hiring in the not termination, but the process to release them. Because sometimes when we lose an employee, it'll cost us money too.
How do you think working with the city? I asked this of Noel. What do you think of the city employees and more? What do you think of our new city manager and how he's doing? Have you been watching him for at least a year and a half because he's been here
you're about that
about
long.
a year and a half?
I think he's doing a fairly decent job.
Okay.
He's had a year, and we'll have to see how he does with the new council.
Yeah, he's under the council that hired him now. So, the council that hired him is going to give him every shake and chance they can because they made that hire. So, it'll be interesting to see how he does with the new council, with new people coming in and how.
Just see how his dynamics are with them.
Yeah.
He had expectations to meet from the old council because they interviewed him and that type of stuff. With, the possibility of 3 new people, well, there will be 3 new people on the council. That's going to change that dynamic a lot. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. But like one of the positive things I think he did or he's done so far is by starting the Citizens Academy.
Yeah, are you in the middle of that or did you do it?
Yeah, I'm currently
y'all did the first class.
I'm actually in the second
class now.
And that's part of what I think is key to helping the average citizen understand the processes of the city.
I've heard a lot of great things about that. A lot of people talking about it.
If you go through it, you're going to learn about a little bit about how the city budget works. You're going to learn the role of the council, the role of the mayor, the role of the city manager, the city clerk. You're going to learn about the municipal court, which was really kind of interesting.
Yeah.
You're going to learn about the wastewater plant, the recreation department. So it covers pretty much the whole scope of the city. But I think the person who goes through it will understand more of the process too. Somebody who had been maybe through the academy when the Timmreck issue came up would understand how the city council had to work through it, how that whole process works, so that maybe there wouldn't have been so much of the dissension and the misunderstanding about how things worked or how things work on that. So I really think the Citizens Academy that he started is a good thing. If I get on council, one of the things I'm going to kind of push for, if I can, is to instead of only having it one time a year, is to go to 2 a year. Because the one thing that they've shown the first time and the second time is they can put up that they're going to have it, and the spots all fill within a couple of days.
Yeah.
And by having 2 sessions a year, more citizens can attend, and an educated citizen is what we need. So I'd like to see that. I'd also like to see the council have, coffee with the council or something every quarter, in a spot, the cultural center or something, where citizens can come in, drop in, and just talk with their city council.
Yeah.
Kind of a neutral spot where, try to have all the council members there, and it would just be the council, not the city manager, and none of the city staff, but a chance just for people to talk to their council member and feel like it's a safe place to do it and a safe way to do it.
Yeah, council meeting doesn't really foster those kind of conversations and stuff like that. And so having like a meet and greet or a monthly thing with the council that their citizens can reach out to them, especially citizens who may not they want to handshake, talk to, look them in the eye, kind of thing.
Yeah, because not everybody, everybody has their own best method of communication.
Yep.
I'm not real great with face-to-face
this kind of stuff?
type stuff,
Oh, come on, you're doing great, man. You're doing great.
I'm fairly decent at putting it down on paper and giving it to you,
Gotcha.
kind of a thing. That's how I feel more comfortable.
Okay.
But it's hard sometimes to come to express yourself sometimes and how you really feel without looking at a person and their emotion, so I really think by having a face-to-face time where people can meet with their council persons, that would be a good thing.
What do you think will be your gift, your puzzle piece? What
would I contribute?
Yeah, what are you going to contribute to city council? What would you contribute to the city?
Hopefully, it would be a sense of common sense, or just common sense. Like I said, I'm just an average person. Most of my my working career has been in management of some sort. So I guess you might say I'm like a Donald Trump. I kind of would approach government as a business.
Was that a plug for Donald Trump?
No, not really.
Are you voting for Donald Trump? I got some ballots in the mail. Okay, so the common sense approach to things, and logically looking through things.
Yeah, I'm one of those who I'm going to look at something, and my dad was an engineer. If anything, he taught me sometimes to overanalyze things.
Okay.
I would be asked to build something, and I would draw out 5 sets of plans for it, kind of a thing. So, and it's like, well, couldn't you just done it like this? So, I do tend to look at things. Sometimes I overanalyze things, but I'm going to look at it and listen to what the input of others are and make a decision that I feel is the best decision that can be made in that situation. I'm not going to let one side influence me more than another, but I'm going to look at the facts and make a decision that I feel is reasonable in the best interest. We're not there to make the decision we want to make. We're there to make the decision that represents our citizens. So if something comes up that's controversial, I'm going to want to hear from people. I'm going to value what the citizen has to say, because ultimately that's who's going to be affected.
How do you think you've watched the city council interact with each other over the last couple of years? And then how do you think you'll be able to interact? Because, no matter what happens, Kelly Case, Noel Sawyer, and Hillary LaBarre
We'll still be there.
will still be there. No, whether it'll be in a mayoral role for Noel or Kelly. There's a chance Val Carr could be there. There's a chance Darwin Nacarado could still be there. And so we got 3 new council seats coming in. There's a mayor seat open, but it's really incumbents that are kind of running for it. And then there'll be an open council seat if Kelly Case or Noel,
Right.
and we'll appoint. How do you think you'll interact with the current people if they were to, stay on council, be there? How do you think you'll mesh with current people, and then the guys coming in, whether if you're elected, and how will you work with those?
I think the new people coming in, I could work with pretty easily. 3 of us were ones that were interviewed for the short-term city council position.
Okay.
And that night, sitting in our little sequester room,
okay,
we got to talking to one another and stuff, and I really think that any one of us could work well with each other.
Okay.
I mean, and if it ends up being the 3 of us, I think we could work well together as a group.
You won't be able to work with me though, probably.
Yeah, I think I could work.
We can have conversations for sure. No,
it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. And of course, Jim is kind of the unknown there.
Okay. Yeah, Jim is the owner of the new store over here,
and Fit Nutrition Station. Yeah. So haven't really had a chance to sit down a whole lot with him and see where his ideas and such are. I'm a little bit more acquainted with yours and Robert's and Rusty's.
Okay.
As far as the sitting council members, Hillary's kind of an unknown how I'd be able to interact with her.
Okay.
I mean, we haven't really spoken a whole lot. Noel, I can probably work with pretty easily.
Gotcha.
I have, done talking or have talked before, and I kind of know where he's at. Kelly, I'm on the recreation. She's the liaison with the Parks and Rec Advisory Board.
Yeah.
And so, I've done some interactions with her there. And I think I could probably work with her as a council member.
Gotcha.
So
you've done some work with her, had some interactions, and you feel like you get along with her enough to at least have.
I don't think there's
so really Labar's the one you don't know very well, and then Noel, and if Val were to become mayor, it is what it is, I guess. I don't know how you feel with Val and Darwin.
Yeah, and right now, I'm not really looking at any one of the 4 to endorse as mayor. Yeah. I'm still kind of
up in the air.
Yeah, still kind of looking at personally who I feel would be the best fit for the city right now.
Okay.
I mean, they all have their good points. They all have some weaknesses, but we all do. And it's just trying to see where they would fit with a prospective new council.
Gotcha.
Because when you see 3 new council members, that's a big chunk of the council. So it's definitely going to have a different feel. Yeah,
and potentially if Darwin or if Noel or Case win, there could be 4 new council members and 2 just basically the mayor and Labar.
Yeah,
and so that's a big flip in a council. What would be your what's if people were to ask you what's the one thing you're gonna do, Don, if you become a city council member? What's the one thing we can count on?
The one thing I think they're going to be able to count on me for is to be fair with what I do. Anything I do, I'm going to do with integrity. I'm not going to move one way and then go another unless I come out and say, hey, I saw this, but looking into it, and after hearing what people are telling me, I really feel this is the way I have to go on it. I'm not gonna align myself with any developers or realtors or anything like that as far as letting that influence my decisions. One of the nice things is I really don't know any realtors or
there you go
developers. So
what?
But I'll be a person that if I say it, that's what I'm going to do.
Gotcha.
I'm going to be as fiscally conservative as I can. The city needs to run. And like we said, there are things that are already budgeted or there's 5-year plans for that we need to take care of, as far as infrastructure and that type of stuff. But if we don't need to spend money for something, let's not spend it. And then the last thing would be, we need to make sure that we're taking care of our employees so that we're not losing the ones that we count on, the patrol officers, the guy that's out there driving the snow plow or filling the potholes, that kind of a thing. Those people we need to take care of. Maybe not as much on the upper end of the food chain there, but we need to take care of the guy that's out there doing the work day to day.
Gotcha. That's important to you. What any thoughts on a couple we've kind of talked about the aquatic center bypass?
That's
always a hot subject.
20 years ago, I would have said no way.
No way.
But nowadays, we've seen the summers up here over the last 8-9
They're
years.
They're
growing. When you can't get off a side street onto 24 because of the trailers and the trucks.
Yep.
It's time that we need to do that. And
it starts with looking, right? And you got to look at it.
If we put in a bypass around the town, we'll still have the people that get off to come in for services. And we can encourage them to do that by providing a downtown that's usable.
Gotcha.
If it's not crowded with trucks and trailers, and if we can go back to putting in parking on the street, getting rid of those medians, make it a place that's pedestrian friendly, where people can walk to things easily without having to worry about having to wait to cross 24 forever.
Hoping that people stop at that yellow hawk light or the red hawk light.
Which then backs up traffic through town even worse.
Yeah.
Because of how close it is to two lights. We can encourage those businesses by bringing people in that'll shop at them. And, it might spur some new businesses that way.
I know one thing's for sure. If we don't build a bypass or we don't start talking about it, we're never going to get one. right? And so, like, I guess a lot of times I hear bypass, but we either say no ever, or we say yes, let's move in that direction and go that way.
Well, there are things in the works right now. The county and CDOT are kind of got their fingers into it more than the city.
Yep.
And those are the two pieces that have to come together first.
Yep.
So the city needs to be encouraging them to get their pieces together so that we can move forward with it. And does it necessarily need to be the bypass that everybody's talking about that's going to, skirt the back edge of the city and along the ridge and, involve 10 different landowners and such? There's some people that have some ideas where maybe that doesn't have to happen, and it can come down to where maybe only 2 or 3 landowners get affected, depending on the type of project that they put in. So it's something to look forward to, hopefully.
Gotcha.
But I see that as something, though, that'll help drive the downtown to hopefully be more economically successful than it already is.
Another hot subject this year, and we really didn't get any resolve, and very little's been pushed forward yet, is the deer issue.
The deers.
Do you think we have deer problem in Woodland Park?
Ever since we had the citizen committees and that type of stuff, and they presented their results to the city, I haven't really noticed as many deer in town. Now, I don't know if they get the feeling that we don't like them or what, but
hey, don't put that out there, man. We don't know what them deer are saying to each other. You know what I'm saying?
But it just seems like it has become almost a non-issue again with people in the city.
Was it a non-issue, or was it an issue with you?
I know that
putting Don on the spot about Bambi.
I know there is a lot of deer in town.
Okay. But now you feel like there's maybe not as many, or haven't noticed as many.
I haven't really noticed as many, but at the same time, with the classes I took in college, I understand why we have as many deer in the town as we had. Drought, fire, that type of stuff. They're coming down low where there's food.
Yep.
And then, bless their hearts, there are those that love their deer, and regardless of the warnings, will feed them.
Yep.
That just encourages them to stick around. And then it brings down our other problems, mountain lions, that type of stuff, the threat of overpopulation and illness. So I think this spring and summer will be the telling point. After they've had their offspring for the year, that type of stuff, do we really have a deer problem again?
Gotcha.
And is there any one solution to it over another? I'm not really a fan of culling, but at the same time, knowing what I know about wildlife management, sometimes that's an option. And sometimes it's a needed option. So I think the biggest thing right now that anybody can do in the city is not encourage them.
Not encourage the deer. You hear that, folks? Don't encourage the deer.
Don't do like that gal who invited them into her house and was feeding them the buffet.
Don't do that. No feeding the deer the buffet.
That actually ended up on Wait, Don't Tell Me Today on NPR.
Oh, Nice. What do you want? Any last things? Where can people find you? They can find you at your email, which is
My email is don4wpcc2020@yahoo.com. I do have a Facebook page up that's kind of under construction, but it's Don Dezellem for Woodland Park City Council. And
or they can order some groceries at Walmart. They might see you.
Yeah, I might be the guy bringing them out to you, or running you over in there with the big cart.
There you go.
And I will respond to email. I will respond to people that leave comments on the Facebook page. If you just want to look at my regular Facebook page, that's fine too. My on the city website, they have a listing of the candidates and such. My contact information is there as far as email, phone number. So
that's where they can get you.
That's how you guys can get a hold of me. Like I said, I want to hear from people. I want to hear what your concerns are. I've already met with a couple of people, and have spent an hour or two with them, kind of explaining who I am and such. So, if you have any questions, get a hold of me.
Awesome. Well, thank you tonight. I know I caught you right after work, and
very unprepared, but
it's all good. Thanks for coming on and letting people know more about you. And it's awesome to hear more about you and get to know you a little bit better as we move into this election season and candidacy and stuff. And so thanks again for doing this.
You're welcome.
Cool. If you've been watching the Woodland Park Underground, hit like, subscribe, all that crazy stuff you're supposed to do. We're going to have more candidates on and talk more about the city, the culture of the politics, what's going on. And if you want Don to be your city council member, vote Don Dezellem for council. He'll be right on your election ballot. What number are you? Number 2 on the ballot. He's right above me. So vote Don. You get to vote for 3 council members, by the way. So you can vote for Don and you can vote for Dalton. Don't think you have to vote for one or the other. And you still have an extra vote left. So I don't think you can give 2 votes to one person, but you can you can do 3 council votes and 1 mayor vote. So thanks for joining. We're out of here. It's late. I'm done. I quit. Oh, end.